The Mario & Luigi franchise is one of Nintendo's most comical and beloved properties. With the help of Alpha Dream Team, they have managed to consistently make several engaging titles that have brought immense satisfaction and joy to countless fans. Most notable of them all, Bowser's Inside Story. Many people have praised it for its incredibly innovative gameplay and exceptionally memorable soundtrack. And it's the latter that I plan to explore with all of you today. Join me as we soundtrack dip into Bowser's Inside Story. Mario & Luigi games are something that I really personally haven't been able to derive as much pleasure from as I would like to. If there's anything you should know about me, it's that I'm not really big into RPGs. They require lots of strategic thinking and lots of planning. See, to me, I like to think as little as I possibly can when playing games, so RPGs don't really catch my interest. But I love the Mario & Luigi games. They are just so funny and they have so much fun gameplay elements that I inevitably ended up buying one of the games for myself. And as with everything, I ended up buying the one that's the least popular with everybody. Yeah, I was a bit of a Partners in Time nut back in my day. I would play it pretty religiously. Without going into too much detail here, just in case I talk about this game's OST in the future, I pretty much went through this perpetual struggle trying to beat it and having to restart the game over and over and over again until I finally got to the final boss and failed spectacularly. I just gave up on my futile quest to beat Partners in Time, so much so that I ended up giving away my one and only copy, a decision that in retrospect I think was a bit hasty. I kind of wish I still had the game now so I can see that if I played it today I might actually beat it. I'm still trying to track down the person I sold it to. But that aside, Bowser's Inside Story was very much in my radar in 2009. Like, I wanted it so bad. It was just an insane concept to me. You got to play as Bowser and the Mario Brothers inside of him simultaneously. It's a luxury that I never got from these games when they had come out, and since today, I have only really gotten from games like this. Unfortunately, this was me in my middle school to high school years, and I wasn't really doing well in school, so it wasn't really easy to convince my folks to purchase this game for me. And the novelty eventually wore off with time, and I started eventually figuring out more and more what my tastes in games were. Legit, the only time that I bothered to invest any time and attention to Bowser's Inside Story is when I had a previous request for a soundtrack dip. But now, we are finally fulfilling my 10-year-old dreams and doing an extensive, detailed review of this game's OST. Yippee! That out of the way, let's go ahead and start from the beginning.
Nintendo!
Strong open on this one with A New Adventure. This track is great. The soft little intro starts off with a beautiful harmony, and it starts to literally kick things up with that beat, helping to transition into that magnificent flute-driven main melody. This is so chipper, as most Mario games usually prefer to start off. They always like to keep the mood light from the get-go, because that helps the story have stakes. You don't want to lose all this beauty to Bowser. Speaking of which, since Bowser plays such an integral part in this, even more so than he usually does now having a titular status, you'd think that they make the opening music resemble this in some way. And indeed, they do. They start to pull out some brass, and really deep brass, I might add, to the second verse. Always one step ahead, these guys. Oh, which actually again reminds me that I forgot to mention this off the top. The composer for Bowser's Inside Story is Yoko Shimomura. I hope I said that right. She's known for her work on Super Mario RPG, Xenoblade Chronicles, and even Kingdom Hearts. That honestly makes me even more excited than I already was to hear this OST. But let's stay on track here. The bridge here is kinda cute, bringing in the strings section. It's a little more tame than what I would have liked. It breaks the vibe that main melody set just slightly, but it's not enough for me to have a big issue with it. I think that the more that I listen to this one, the more used to it I'll get and the more I'll overlook that criticism. Overall, a great solid opening. Let's move on to the actual adventure here. Past the title screen are your standard file select music, which is nothing too special. Serviceable stuff, sounds pretty normal for a Mario game. After that, we pan over to an adorable little town of toads somewhere in the Mushroom Kingdom. The music is all sweet and chipper, again, as Mario games love to start, until suddenly... What the flying is that? Why am I in this game? A disease has run rampant across Mushroom Kingdom. They call it the Blorbs. Several toad civilians have been swelling up into massive destructive balls, not the kind a wife toad would be happy to see. And they've been spreading all across the kingdom at an alarming rate. Shit's getting serious. Peach holds a conference discussing the situation and the measures that should be taken to remedy this epidemic. The music is perfectly tailored to this moment in the game. It's got the perfect amount of gloom without going too far. It still leaves room for the later parts of the game to sound way more dire. This situation is no doubt serious in the game, but from the player's perspective, it's kind of funny. This is definitely spoofing a sort of Walking Dead style premise. This is off to a very interesting start so far. Peach requests the help of the the Star Sprites rather, and so the Star Sprite representative Starlo shows up to help. And soon after, so do Mario and Luigi. Here we get sort of a tutorial song remixing the original Super Mario theme. I don't care who you are, man, you always gotta be happy to hear a little bit of da 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 da. This will show up whenever a tutorial is sprung up on you, which from what I hear is a lot, much to people's annoyance. And immediately after, we get another consistently recurring track, the Peach's Castle theme. Both of these remixes do a great job of adding a minor spin on such timeless tunes while staying completely faithful to them. The Peach Castle theme in particular has a more orchestral and relaxed style that I definitely appreciate, and they give it a lot more of a slowed down feel too. Anyways, moving on, the brothers convene with the princess and—
Are you yawning? In the middle of this while I'm breaking it down?
Why is Luigi me in this situation? During the meeting, it's discovered that the Blorbs have been caused by a man in a cape giving out Blorb mushrooms to all the toads. Shortly after discovering this, Bowser interjects trying to cause some trouble. Something about not being invited to the meeting or whatever. And Luigi still doesn't care. The menacing music is top notch. This is exactly how I want my casual Bowser music to sound. The timpani comes in all and there's this little subtle instrument, I don't know quite what it is, but it starts going. These little touches all add up to just give you this incredibly looming sense of dread. Really top-notch stuff. Mario and Bowser jump into the first fight of the game, introducing us to this beauty. Not have played Bowser's Inside Story, but I sure as heck have heard this banger a fair amount of times over the years. It is an amazing battle theme and it is so tremendously enjoyable. The energy and life that this track has is unbelievably infectious. It's incredibly easy to fall in love with. The accordion was a very interesting choice, I should say. I'm not sure why they chose it to be one of the driving forces for the main melody, but it was a really genius decision. It goes really hard, dude. There's some strong work coming from the marimba / vibraphone as well. And both of these come together with some occasional flute chimes to make such a vibrant and dynamic musical sensation. I think this is currently at #1 on this list for me. It just brings everything that I enjoy in Mario music, and it delivers it in such a way that is inseparable from this game. I just think of Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story when I hear this track. With two other games of the same nature, you'd think they'd take some homage from some of those battle themes and try and emulate some of their styles or motifs into this battle, but no, they straight up just spring up a complete new jammin' ass track that probably hits the hardest out of all of them, which is a major win because we're gonna be hearing this track a lot throughout the game. Wake the fuck up, Luigi! I can accept you sleeping during the battle, I can understand you wanna miss that, but you cannot miss this fire ass song. Anyways, Mario beats Bowser fairly quick thanks to Peach's wish power and Starlow's star power. And Peach does this to him. Why has she never done that before? I don't know. I guess I'll explain that later. And we join Bowser as he lands in a mysterious forest. Hey, I recognize this! Yeah, I made a video on this track as requested by a fan a few years back. I'll leave the link in the description in case you guys want to check it out. Back then I referred to this as Dimble Woods because, well, that's the name that it was suggested to me by. But here it's called Let's Meet in the Mysterious Forest. I guess the mystery got lost in the remake. But thankfully, the catchiness did not get lost here. It's the same fun, delightful tune it's always been. The xylophone goes off in this one. It's just eating up this whole track and it sounds so freaking good. The music gives you a sense of wonder and intrigue. It's quite clever, the instrument choice. It, I assume at least, is trying to evoke this feeling of being a small little being in this bizarre new land. It's great at making the player excited for what interesting new discoveries are to be made.
The strings in this song are magnificent, and I think that we can all agree that this part with the violin is the best part of the whole song. Don't you agree, boys? Come on, give them another hit.
It's a standout on this list for sure. It makes me very eager to see what all the other area themes are going to sound like going forward. And I hope that at the very least, they're half as catchy as this one is. I would put this one, I think, under Oki Doki for the time being. Bowser traverses through the forest with Kamek by his side and comes across a strange man who offers him a lucky shroom. A shroom that'll make him so lucky he'd even be able to take Mario down. So he eats it, like the big dumb doofus that he is, and it is revealed that the strange man is none other than the best half of the evil duo from Superstar Saga, Fawful. I know nothing about this guy since I never played Superstar Saga, but he did make a neat little appearance in Partners in Time, and I was always so intrigued by this person. Like, I wanted to know more about him. And I know that people say he's a great villain, supposedly, so I'm really hyped to see what the fuss is about. He seems to have quite a mischievous scheme brewing, but he doesn't spoil the details just yet as he leaves. Right after which, Bowser begins to exhibit the Lucky Shroom's true abilities. He uses this newfound power on Mario and the gang, and he's still asleep! Does he care about anything? You know what? At the very least, though, it's worth it because we get to see Luigi's Olympic air swimming mastery at work. Look at him go. We follow Mario as he plunges down Bowser's insides, and we get an interesting, foreboding track. It has a sort of cave-dwelling feel to it, a bit eerie, all of it hitting just as it should here, perfectly resembling the unsettling feeling of finding yourself inside a creepy and kind of gross and icky, unfamiliar location. Mario proceeds to make his way around Bowser and reunites with I wrote Staryu here instead of Starlow. Starlow begins to teach you some things about fighting and, basically tutorial stuff as you defeat enemies, which I guess are like Bowser's tuberculosis or something. You now have a victory screen with some victory music, which is decent enough. They bring in some of the violin-y goodness again, which is always welcome. Mario presses on and eventually finds Luigi. Okay, is he gonna be asleep the whole game, or Mario saves him and together they venture deeper into Bowser's innards. I have to say, personally, I haven't seen much of what this game looks like beyond the Dimble Woods area, the Mushroom Kingdom area, and a few snippets of Bowser's insides. I'm very excited to see how they plan on making the inside of Bowser's body interesting to explore. I'm sure they have a lot of interesting sights to see from Bowser's perspective as well. But for now, that's as much as we get to see this time. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Please stay tuned for next week, where we're gonna jump into part 2 of soundtrack dipping into Bowser's inside story. I hope you guys enjoyed this new format that I'm trying out here. I know it seems a bit similar to soundtrack dive at the moment. With this one, what I'm really trying to aim for is something that I can make every week for you guys, something that's a little bit easier, that I can actually upload consistently, so I can give you guys something to watch on a pretty regular basis, because the soundtrack dives, I know, is what everybody is really loving right now and are asking for many requests for. And so I thought that it might be a good idea if I make soundtrack dip very similar to that, so that I can get some of the requests taken care of in this way, just so it doesn't take so long for me to get to people's recommendations and requests and everything. This will be coming out every week, maybe every Friday. The date might change, I don't know. We're still kind of in the work in progress zone of this. Essentially, this is gonna kind of be like soundtrack dive, except it's gonna be a lot shorter. It's gonna be put up into several different parts, and it's gonna come out every week for you guys to enjoy. So please go ahead and give me your thoughts down in the comments if you guys are liking how this is so far. I'm gonna do the rest of Bowser's Inside Story. We're gonna touch on everything very briefly, very quickly. That's the difference between this, is I'm gonna be very fast, and as you notice, I wasn't really giving anything's ratings or anything. That'll be the difference between this. We can work out the nitty-gritty later. You guys can tell me what you think I can improve, what I can change, what I can keep the same, blah 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 blah. You guys know what's up. And most importantly, for games like this that I assume there's like 1 to like 5 different really big songs that people want me to talk about, I can kind of still talk about it, but like really focus in on those big ones that everybody wants me to talk about. So please go ahead and tell me in the comments below what your thoughts are, and please go ahead and leave a like on this video and subscribe. Touch that ding dong to get notified whenever new videos come out. And if you guys didn't like this, don't worry, you can still leave a like, comment, subscribe, touch that ding dong, and I will see you guys there.